I still remember the morning those little orange survey flags appeared along my back fence line. At first, I figured it was just the county marking utilities, nothing unusual. But a week later, when the bulldozers rolled in and tore through the field where my father used to grow hay, my stomach dropped. That land wasn't just soil to me, it was my family's story, written across 40 acres. My dad bought it after returning from Vietnam, saying, "Son, land's the one thing they can't make more of, so protect it." When I walked down to talk to the site foreman, he barely looked up from his clipboard. "Sir," he said, "this is the new Willow Creek Estate's 96 homes, all approved by the HOA and the county." I actually laughed, thinking he had the wrong parcel. Then he showed me the blueprints. Right there in black ink, my property number. That night I dug out the old safe. My hands trembled as I unfolded my father's deed, his signature still clear under that faded notary stamp. Recorded, sealed, and never transferred. Someone, somehow, had convinced the HOA that my land was abandoned and folded it into their master subdivision. I called their office the next morning. The president, a woman named Marlene, was polite at first, until she realized who I was. "That parcel's been unclaimed for decades," she snapped. "You'll have to take it up with county records." So I did. At the courthouse, the clerk frowned as she pulled up the file. "Sir," she whispered, "the system shows it as HOA managed since 2018. But your deed's still active right here in our archive." That's when the anger drained away, replaced by something steadier resolve. Instead of storming the site, I made a choice. Let them keep building. Let them spend every dime they didn't realize they owed me. My father always fought his battles the right way, patient, precise, and unshakable. Still, every nail they drove into that ground felt personal. By summer, half the homes were framed, and a bright white banner stretched across the entrance. "Welcome to Willow Creek, a master-planned community." Friends told me to call the press, go public, make noise. But I didn't want headlines. I wanted truth and justice that couldn't be spun that night. I stood on my porch, watching their light spread across the valley. I whispered a promise to the wind. When they finish building on my father's land, they're going to hand me the keys. By the time fall rolled around, Willow Creek was alive, sprinklers ticking, garage doors humming, kids riding bikes down brand new streets. 96 shiny homes sat right on what had always been my pasture. They even ran a fence straight through my apple trees. Then came the letter. A man in a tucked polo and mirrored sunglasses hand-delivered it. Notice of violation, unauthorized structure within HOA boundaries. They were fining me for keeping my own barn on my own property. I actually laughed when I read it. But that laughter died fast. A week later, they tried cutting off my water for non-compliance. Then they parked a tow truck near my drive, waiting to remove abandoned equipment. It was surreal, like watching strangers invade a memory. Neighbors I'd known for years suddenly avoided me. The HOA told them I was a squatter, refusing to sell. I'd sit on my porch and watch families barbecue on my land, not angry at them, just hollow inside. One evening, Marlene showed up herself, clipboard in hand, pretending politeness. "Mr. Walker," she said, "why not just sign the transfer? We'll offer fair market value. You can move on peacefully." I met her eyes and said quietly, "Ma'am, the only thing moving on this land is your mistake." That night I drove 3 towns over to see my cousin Sam, a quiet, sharp-minded lawyer. When he finished reading the annexation paperwork, his expression hardened. "They falsified it," he said. "You've got them dead to rights, but don't stop them yet. Let them finish the HOA filing. It'll make your damages triple." So I waited. Through the cold months, I watched the final houses rise. Siding, mailboxes, porch lights. I even waved to the new homeowners as they moved in. They weren't my enemies. They were victims of the same lie. Meanwhile, Sam filed our case, quiet title and fraud. We subpoenaed everything. Bank loans, plats, permits, signatures. Then came the day of reckoning. In court, Marlene sat 2 tables away, trying to look composed. The judge leaned forward and asked, "Ma'am, do you have any legal proof this property was ever transferred to your HOA?" She fumbled her papers. Well, according to the judge interrupted, holding up a document, because Mr. Walker does, and it bears his father's signature. From 1972, you could have heard a pin drop. Even their attorney looked white as chalk. The judge ordered an immediate suspension of all HOA activities until ownership was verified. And when that gavel came down, I finally took a full breath for the first time in months. But I knew the story wasn't done yet. The paperwork was one thing, but justice had to be seen. Asterisk 3 months later. The county restored my deed in full, every square inch of my 40 acres. The court declared every house built without consent as unauthorized occupation. The HOA tried appealing crying community hardship, but the judge didn't flinch. Hardship, he said, doesn't erase fraud. I could have evicted everyone, but I didn't. Instead, I called a meeting at the local church. Dozens of new homeowners came, confused, scared, looking for answers. I stood before them and said, "You did nothing wrong. You were lied to. You can stay, but from now on your dues go to me, not the HOA." A murmur swept through the room. Then an older man in the back stood and said, "Sir, if that means Marlon's out, I'll mow your field myself." The crowd broke into applause. Within a week, Marlon resigned. The HOA office shut its doors, and that shiny metal sign reading Willow Creek Homeowners Association came down, replaced by a wooden board I carved myself. Walker Ranch established 1972. Reporters came, of course wanting outrage or revenge. But I wasn't interested in theatrics. I just told them, this land remembers who it belongs to. Now, every morning, I sit on my porch with my coffee, watching the same hills my father once plowed. Kids play where hay once grew, and the sound of laughter drifts across the valley. The homes are still there, but the peace that's mine again. Sometimes people ask why I didn't stop them sooner. The truth. I wanted the truth to reveal itself fully, publicly, undeniably. I wanted everyone to see what happens when greed forgets where it's standing. As the sun sets over those rooftops, I glance toward the old barn still standing tall, and I whisper, "We did it, Dad," because this was never just about acreage. It was about a promise, one man's word, to protect what his father built. Sometimes standing up for what's right means standing alone until others find the courage to join you. Have you ever faced an HOA like this? Share your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you believe some fights are worth having, hit subscribe and let's stand up together.